Sometimes I find it easier when I'm adding and subtracting is if I would just go ahead and box in the number along with the sign that goes with it. So on this first one, I have a -3 and I have a +4. So those are the two things that need to be combined or added together. So then if you follow the rules, when we have the exact same sign, we add and keep the sign that we have. We don't have the same sign. We have a negative and a positive. So when you have opposite signs, then you subtract and keep the sign of the bigger number. So I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number. Well, my 4 is the bigger number, so it's going to be a +1 is my answer. Okay, on the second one, I have a -3 and a -3. I mean, I could say this -3 minus 3, but a lot of times it's easier to look at it as two individual items that need combining. They're both negatives, so I add, so 3 plus 3 is 6, and I keep the negative sign, so -6. Okay, my third one, I'm going to just break this down, and I'm going to take care first of the first two numbers, so -5 and -6, they're the same sign, so I'm going to add them. So that gives me -11 plus 4. Okay, so I have a -11 and I have a +4. So they're opposite signs, so I'm going to subtract. 11 minus 4 is 7, and I'm going to keep the sign of the larger number, which is 11, so my answer is -7. And then the final one, just to remind you about PEMDAS, you got to multiply before you can do all of the other things. So the first thing I need to do is I've got a -2 that needs to be multiplied times that 8. So that's going to give me, I'm going to move this up, that's going to give me a -16. So I got -16, I got my 4, and I got plus -3. That's in parentheses. Okay, so now I just have addition and subtraction left. So I've got a +4, I've got a -3, so opposite signs, so 4 minus 3 is 1, and I'm going to keep the sign of positive because the 4 is bigger. So I have 1 minus 16. If I box them, it's a +1 and a -16. So I have opposite signs. I'm going to subtract. 16 minus 1 is 15, but I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number, so I'm going to keep the negative, and that's my answer.